Welcome to the MLB Prop Pick Show, powered by the Bat X. I'm Jon Metler. He's Derek Carty. Game 1, World Series, Los Angeles Dodgers, Toronto Blue Jays. Good morning to the chat as well. Subaru saying share, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for reminding me to do my job. Morning all. Who else says good luck to the Blue Jays? You will need it. That is very accurate. They will need quite the luck here. Before, Derek, you have one lean you like for the World Series here, Game 1. Before we get into that, is there anything, just not necessarily betting, but from like the World Series, like, do you like the Dodgers? Do you like the Blue Jays? MVP, anything you saw, anything like that?
Yeah, no, I like the Dodgers. It's crazy that the best team in baseball has had value on them like all postseason, but I mean, according to the Bat X, they have been. I don't know if it's because they kind of underperformed in the regular season or people are just tired of the Dodgers being the best team, but Dodgers are the best team. So yeah, there's some value on plenty of Dodgers stuff, I think, like series wide and whatnot. So that's my general kind of take on this, is that the Dodgers are really, really good and people just think they're really good, I guess.
Yeah. I feel like I remember there was like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I don't know, left in the regular season, and I took a Dodgers money line against the Phillies. And when I did the breakdown, I said the Dodgers are the best team in baseball. And Phillies fans were really not happy about that because they had a better record in the standings. But I was like, when you break down all the analytics, I feel like the Dodgers were the best team. It feels like the Dodgers did that thing, and it happened for a long time. You know, like the Golden State Warriors dominated the NBA for 5 years there. And the regular season, they were like it doesn't matter if we're a 1, 2, 3 seed, we're going to get in, and then we're going to be foot on the gas, and we're the best team. And I think you just realize that the best record at the end of the day, we just kind of want to be healthy going into all this. So I think the Dodgers always were kind of the best team, and it played out like that. Like, so it's gonna be tough. I was from the American League side, like as a Tigers fan or a Blue Jays fan, I think you're always hoping someone else takes out the Dodgers through the National League, and then you get to the World Series. But here we are, Dodgers a minus 230 favorite. You have one lean. Let's get into that one. So we're going to DraftKings. Nick Pardo saying, does Snell come back down to earth today? Well, we'll give you some form of breakdown. Yeah, we're going. So your one lean is Blake Snell under 6.5 strikeouts. So it was minus 119. That was still a lean for us. Now it's a minus 132. Do you want to break this down and kind of explain why it is a lean versus a play?
Yeah, I mean, especially now that we've lost some value on it, definitely a lean. It was close to a play before. I was tempted to call it a play. Now it's definitely firmly a lean. But I mean, Blake Snell has been great throughout the postseason, but 6.5 is a big number against the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays during the regular season, we were regularly targeting them for under strikeouts because they were such a low strikeout offense. They are such a low strikeout offense. We've kind of seen throughout the postseason that teams have adjusted a little bit their strategies, or at least certain teams have adjusted their strategies in terms of how deep they're allowing their starting pitchers to go. There was actually a really good article at Baseball Prospectus maybe a week or so ago that kind of looked at which teams were still doing like the really short starter thing and which teams were letting their starters go longer so that they could manage their bullpen more effectively. Because we talk about, okay, you don't want to let your starter go third time through the order because, third time through the order penalty. And for years, that's what teams were doing in the postseason. Third time through the order penalty, we're going to pull our starters back. They're not going to go more than twice through the order. But I think some teams realized, okay, well, we're doing that, but then teams are winding up seeing our relievers a third or a fourth or a fifth time in the postseason, and there's a penalty for that too. So the Dodgers have kind of taken it to the extreme where this postseason, they basically let their starters just go regular length. And that has helped them with the bullpen, only seeing guys, once or twice and mixing stuff up. So not expecting a short leash for Snell today by any means. I think we get a full leash on him, but against the Jays, I still think under 6.5 is has enough value, to call it a lean here.
So you're kind of stuck in this middle land of 6.5 seems too high. The Blue Jays put the ball in play, but we also, the other side of it is Dave Roberts. How is he going to manage it? So we don't really know. Is like he let Yamamoto and Snell go Yamamoto was a complete game, I think, and Snell was 8 innings in that in that
Yeah.
LCS there. So it's kind of like there's angles, I guess, both ways. So that is why it's more of a lean, is what I'm gathering.
Yeah, because if we were like, oh, if this was 2 years ago where Blake Snell, we're going to expect 80 pitches from,
Yeah.
like we're smashing this. This is full on like amazing play. If Blake Snell's going to go 95 pitches or 100 pitches, now this is more of a lean because he could get into the 7th or 8th inning, and even against the Jays, you can case 7 guys with that kind of length. I'm hoping he's out there for 6. The Jays work his pitch count a little bit. He gets up to 95 before he hits the 6th or 7th inning, and then he doesn't have the volume to get here because, I mean, more than a strikeout per inning, I think is too much to ask for here against this Jays offense.
Yeah. So -132 is the lean. Is there a number you would play this at in case it shows up later? Probably won't, because it's already moved from -119 to -132. But just in case people are looking later, maybe it does move.
Are you saying what number I'd have it as play as, or what number I'd take this down to further?
What number would it switch to from like a lean to a play? It's going to be a lean for us record wise, but it just, if people are looking later, maybe they find something, or who knows.
-115, anything better than that, I think I called a play. Probably it was pretty close before at the -119.
Okay, yeah, so it was really close. All right, that's the one lean we have from Derek. We have jingles coming up as well to give us some picks. So that's Blake Snell under 6.5 strikeouts, -132 is a lean. Derek, we will see you back next week for some more World Series picks. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the World Series.
All right, have it going, guys.
All right, let's bring in jingles. And maybe Debbie today?
No
guest appearance from Debbie today.
When was that? That was what day was that? What day was
I know,
Debbie?
it feels like forever ago. I feel like every time on our job, you talk about things, and then there's like 100 bets in between the next time you talk to someone, and you're like, there's been a lot happening.
I just made 100 bets while you're talking to Derek. I was trying to they're changing the point props again in the NHL, and I'm trying to adjust. But Debbie let me go. But now I'm in the World Series. Now it's like, hey, can I get out to this watch party on Friday night?
Yeah.
Hey, can I get out to this watch party on Saturday night? She doesn't love her husband right now. That's okay.
That's what I was talking. I think a baseball postseason run by your favorite team is the most expensive. Like, how do you navigate this as a fan? It just seems, because I feel like a basketball or hockey, it plays out over a lot longer period, right? So you can be like, oh, maybe I don't do something for game 3 or 5, but then game 6 I'm going somewhere. But baseball is like boom, 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 boom.
Yes.
And like there's no time, right? So I feel like baseball, and then like football, it's like, Super Bowl or one game per week. So that's not the same. I feel like baseball is the most stressful on fans to trying to get out to like see all these games and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
she doesn't get it as much as, let's say, others. I don't know. She's a baseball fan, but she just doesn't understand. She doesn't understand it all, but that's why she loves me, I think. But I don't know. We'll see. I got to get out. I got to coach football tonight, flag football finals tonight. So hopefully wrap that up. And then, one of those awful dad moments where you're like, okay, here are the kids. I'll see you later. I'm going to go drink beer with my friends. That's always a good move at 42 to pull off.
Nick Burrow saying it's the World Series. She has to accept some withdrawals from the account for sure. And
she already got some. she already gave her.
I saw you took them to dinner the next night. I was like, that's a better move. You gotta play it up because the World's, especially after they won, right? The World Series is coming. If they lost, you're like, okay.
So here's something funny that only you'll like bettors get and you'll get. So I had $75 to pay out $775 for Jays to win Game 7. So I'm like, okay. I'll split this with you. Let me go. I'll split this with you. I'll give you $350. She's like, no, it's $775. I want it down the middle. And I'm like, no, well, you didn't risk the $75. I'm just splitting the profits with you. The $75 was my initial investment. And she didn't understand that, but you would, right?
Yeah. That's, I feel like you always, if sometimes you're stuck and you're in a good, like one time I was watching a game with the wife, and then I was like, oh yeah, like I cashed a futures bet, kind of the similar thing. It was the Milwaukee Bucks to like, I think, make it to the Eastern Conference Finals or something years ago. And I was like, oh, and I was like, celebrating. She's like, well, what'd you win? And I was like, oh, $2,000. She's like, nice. We can buy outdoor furniture. I'm like, oh, that's just not why I shared that.
Yeah. Good thing you had all the risk over there.
Yeah, that's not what I was looking for at all from this conversation. So
Oh
gotta be
God.
careful with what you say sometimes with your betting wins and stuff. How before we get in the picture, you got to break down how was it? That was, I think, the George Springer home run passes the Batista bat flip. I'm not a Blue Jays fan. That's to go to the World Series. What was it like in Game 5?
It was super cool. I mean, the doors opened so early. You could get in there 3 hours early, and we had 500 seats, but we stood in general admission out in center field by the flight deck, and it was packed by 2 hours in. So it was expensive, but we had the tables. It was actually a really cool spot, and it was kind of nothing to get excited about. Like the hits were like, I think they finished with like 8 hits, 10 hits, but like a lot of it was 2-out singles. They had the hits. They had some leadoff stuff. They got doubled up. It was deflating. There wasn't a lot going on. There wasn't a lot of deep fly balls, and we were in center field and didn't even have the chance to be like, is that one gone? But when we saw the ball come off the Springer bat, and I was saying to my buddy, I'm like, his knee's bad. His plate appearance before that was awful. And he was just, it looked like he was swinging out of his shoes, because if he'd like hit like maybe a gap or put the ball in play, he probably couldn't run very well. Ball goes up and you're just like, is it gone? Like he thought it was gone, but it wasn't like in the 12th row. Like that was like row 1, row 2.
Yeah.
And then it went. And then you're like, please manage this bullpen well. Like, don't take us from that to just an absolute terrifying collapse. Bassett comes in, Gosman shuts the door, and then the streets after, right? Like all I could picture was Philadelphia, like people climbing light poles. I kept asking all the police officers if they greased the light poles, and they didn't. And every light pole, people were just climbing on, but it was awesome.
Chris Horvath saying all-time Jays home run rankings: Joe Carter 1, George Springer 2, Joey Bats 3. I couldn't agree more. I think just because of what they're worth, right? One's to win a World Series, one's to go to the World Series. And then Joey Bats, I think, was ALDS. So the Springer one was that was insane. And I remember, because I was at the Bautista bat flip game. I remember walking out.
Crazy.
They were cheering Jose like all the way through the tunnels out of Rogers Center, and then like out onto like King Street, everyone was chanting Jose. And then we walked into a restaurant to get food after, everyone's still chanting Jose in the restaurant. And then I took the subway home, and the subway car was chanting Jose. I was like, this is insane. So I knew once you won and how you won, I was like, dude, Jingles is having a time at this game. Thank God for Debbie who let you go and stuff. So
yeah, then she called me at 1:30. She said, where are you? Yeah, I got home from the train. We're good. We made it home. We're safe.
All right, let's get into some picks here. You like Alejandro Kirk and Dalton Varsho for 2 bets here. You want to break these down?
Yeah, look at there's a lot to look at on the board today. There's a lot of different angles for sure. Let's go. Bring up what you got there, Mick. There, we'll go positive Pete first here. Let's go Kirk over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs plus 130. Just a good matchup, righty versus lefty, and a really good price for a guy who we don't know what the order is right now. The Bo issue kind of throws everything into a blender, but he should be hitting 4th, 5th, likely 5th. And he'll have Bo, he'll have Springer, he'll have Vlad in front of him. So hopefully just a single RBI to knock at plus money in the middle of the order. I think that's a great price compared to other people. And speaking of other people, the Varsho price, I don't get. And I apologize. This is a guy I want. This is a guy I want to do well. But if you saw his game, it wasn't fantastic in the last series. And he'll be moving down the order. I think he was only batting where he was in the last round because of being a left-handed bat, but now he's got lefty. He's got all his pop versus right-handed batters or right-handed pitching, but he does hit left-handed pitching, but his pop comes versus the righties. Plus 120, not to get anything in a pitcher battle like this. I think this is like my emotional hedge bet. Varsho under this at plus money. This is not something, and he's going to see Snell probably at least 3 times, and that's dangerous for this spot. So plus money there. I think they've just overvalued Kirk in this spot. I think they've just valued the spot in his lineup, which I think they have wrong, because right now he's the betting favorite to lead this series in RBIs, which makes 0 sense to me.
Yeah, where do you think that came from with Varsho? Why do you think he is the favorite? Like,
I don't know. Like maybe
I know he shouldn't be, but like, how would they even remotely jump to that conclusion that he should be the favorite?
Maybe he was the fifth hole hitter where he's not going to be the fifth hole hitter anymore. That's the only reason. But it makes no sense. Freddie Freeman's like 6.
Yeah,
And I bought him today at 10-1.
I feel like it's almost just like a typo for Varsho.
It doesn't make any sense. And like when you see that, when you see future markets like that, and you see like Varsho at the top there, you see something off the top, and you were mentioning it earlier off screen with the Ohtani stuff. It resets the entire market because the market has to like make sense to that bet. So
Right.
now everything's kind of all at whack. That's how I approach some future markets, right? Like here's the top guy. He shouldn't be the top guy. There's got to be value down somewhere else because it's got to add up. And that's what I think we're finding with Freeman.
Yeah, that's always the dead giveaway in a futures market. Is like the favorite shouldn't be the favorite, and then it's like, well, then if he shouldn't be the favorite, let's look down at the board here. I'll get into my bet here because you just brought up Ohtani and we're talking kind of futures market. My bet is a futures bet. It's Blake Snell to win World Series MVP plus 2,000. I grabbed this points bet Fanatics depending on where you live. I just feel like for one, Blake Snell's been the best starting pitcher on the planet the last month or since the postseason started. His 3 starts in the postseason have been phenomenal. He's got a 0.86 ERA, 12 strikeouts per 9, and I think his xFIP is like 1.77. He's been awesome for the Dodgers. And like Derek was breaking down, they're letting him go, and they've let him pitch. That's kind of like usually not his thing, but like in the NLCS, he pitched 8 innings. He's also coming off extended rest. He only made 1 start in the NLCS, and then the Dodgers swept. They're off for like a week, so it's not like he's thrown a bunch of innings recently. I feel like he has a chance to go game 1. Game 5, the game 5 angle really appeals to me because, sorry for Blue Jays fans, there's a really good chance the Dodgers do win this in 5. So he would be at home. And if he's the starting pitcher when they win, you have that spot. And then he also opens the door to potentially being a reliever in game 7 if it gets that far. So the fact that he's a starting pitcher who could go 3 appearances, and like JPC Force pointing on the chat there, the Dodger bullpen is not good. Dave Roberts has shown you too that he would much rather piggyback starters versus going to his bullpen. That's what he did in the wild card in with Glass now and Sasaki's as their closer and stuff. So I feel like if it got to a game 7, Blake Snell would probably be a reliever out of the bullpen. So you're looking at 3 starts. I think he's just been really good. And you're bringing up the Ohtani thing. That's where Ohtani's just such a big favorite. Like he's like plus 160, plus 130, that it just lengthens the price of everyone else in this market. So I'm going to go with Snell. The one thing I was saying, Jingles, with Ohtani, I'm like, he's a favorite because he hits and he pitches. But if he has a bad start, does that negate the hitting side of it? Where like if he
it all piles on, right? Like right? There's no negatives to it. It's just it goes up. Like
he can hit and he can pitch. I was wondering if he like goes out, like say he has like a home run tonight or it has another good hitting game 2, and then like but game 4 he gets lit up as the pitcher and loses the game. Like, does that hurt the hitting side of it, or you think those are 2 separate things?
No, I think people are just. And I think the fact that, he hurt his shoulder last year sliding into second base, and I was very upset because I was holding Ohtani MVPs from the beginning of the playoffs. Not upset about that at all. But no, I think like the vote just it's everything's Ohtani. It's so
I know
we're getting Ohtani crazy. My kid went to school with an Ohtani shirt. One of my kids, my one kid went with a Vlad jersey. My other kid went with an Ohtani jersey. I said, someone's going to punch you in the face. And he's like, oh, I'm like, yeah, you're lucky you don't live in Philadelphia or something.
The one thing that's good about futures markets, obviously, it's huge plus prices. You can grab multiple people if you want. Technically, Snell starts tonight. If Snell goes out and throws a really good game, his odds should shorten, and then Ohtani probably lengthen a bit, and then you could probably come back and take Ohtani if you really wanted to have both in pocket. That's kind of like the dream scenario that you set up right there. So you have one more bet for us. Another random one. You've been like Yerfy nerfy through the postseason, kind of
because I've cashed some of these. I really like the both team to score in certain runs. So let's go both teams to score 1 run, first 5 innings, plus 180. In this spot, you get top of the order twice, most likely, if it has a chance, maybe a little deeper, top to middle on both sides. I like this better than the first 5. The both teams to score 2 plus first 5 was plus 230. I think this one's a better shot with better spots because it's game 1 of the World Series. Let's not pretend a 22-year-old is a guy who's going to come out there and show great poise, because I even think something like first plate appearance, Ohtani walk plus 425 is worth a look, because it's going to be loud. There's going to be some nerves. And I think We've seen it in the series, especially in J series, where early runs. I think it was what game was it? It was game 2, Seattle. Hit by pitch, Randy Arozarena, walk Cal Raleigh, home run J-Rod. I think that's the way it went. And you just see you Savage just maybe have some issues early. If that splitter isn't splitting, it stays up. There's some issues with that. And if you're going to get to Snell and you know he's going to go 100 pitches, you got to take hacks early. And I think this is, I mean, I know we've seen Snell a lot coming from the AL East. I mean, he's been in a lot of stops since, but there's a lot of tape on Snell, and don't think that he's seen a lineup. First three, Porto. Yeah. It's I've pivoted from first 5 to first 3, but that's where it is. I did the Yurfie in game 7, which worked out. I silent fist pumped.
Yeah.
A little bit. You're like, like that's all you wanted in game 7. Like just start off clean, and you didn't. So I like that one. That's the big plus money, plus 180. And I don't think you Savage gets through this order unscathed.
I was saying this to you off air. Imagine telling you on opening day the Toronto Blue Jays would be in the World Series and Trey Savage would be your game 1 starter and Shane Bieber would be one of your other starters in this series. That is sometimes you just can't predict sports at all. That is he was in single A. I'm pretty sure he Savage he went through all the levels this year, right? So yeah, that is crazy. What a run by the Blue Jays. Feel like the Dodgers minus 230 is kind of where they're trading. Maybe a slight edge on the Blue Jays math wise, but I mean, the Blue Jays, you never know in baseball, and the Blue Jays have had kind of just that magic all year. So I feel like we all agree the Dodgers are the best team. The Dodgers should win this, but the Blue Jays, this is kind of the spot they've been in the entire season. So you never know. Maybe they pull it off.
They have no pressure. They have it's you know what I mean?
Pressure.
Like winning the pennant was it, right? Like that was the push. Now you just get the reward of playing in the World Series with not a lot of pressure. And it's probably the best way to have fandom behind you, right? There was a lot of pressure to beat Seattle because we could. And now it's just like, you got us here. We've enjoyed every moment of it. You're playing with house money. And that's a dangerous opponent in any matchup. Very scary for the Dodgers. I mean, maybe less in a non-contact, non-one-on-one sport, but the Jays are set up. The schedule set up for them to be successful with their pitching staff. And I hope that, I don't know, you mentioned that Dave Roberts is letting guys go, and Derek talked about it. And it's really interesting to see that a manager like Dave Roberts, who used to be a guy who quick pulled guys, is now being the more progressive coach, learning that you can't have your bullpen arms be seen 7 times in a 7-game series. So hopefully we see a little more Bassett. Hopefully we see some more starting pitching from that Toronto Blue Jay pen, because I think when Bassett's throwing 7 pitches compared to Little, who's got 2 pitches, I think there's something to it. I know it's righty lefty, but that's where we got. We also got Al's brother boosted SGP. No sponsorships on this one. Good. From Bet99. Let's go. Plus, it's going to be boosted from plus 525. That's Vlad over 1.5 total bases. Ernie Clement for a hit, and Trey Savage over 14.5 outs. We'll be posting that one later. And I do have my MVP, and I'm going to go Kirk for MVP at 30-1. I just don't think he should be longer than Varsho. Likely hitting in that 5 spot. Will have run production opportunity, and he's catching every game. And I think there's something to it. Like, if this gets shown all over America, like, everyone's going to fall in love with Alejandro Kirk that doesn't know Alejandro Kirk, right? Like, there's that writer narrative that is always good in terms of MVP voting, because that's who votes for it.
I feel like it's very narrative based, and that's what I was kind of wondering. Once, I feel like you could get I kind of like Freddie Freeman, but it's like he won it last year. So does he go back to back? Maybe. I don't think so. I think those angles do always play into these futures markets and things you're voting on. Ohtani, they probably want him to win, would be my guess, right? You kind of want to put the face of baseball as an MVP, especially since he didn't win it last year. And then when I was looking at Blake Snell, I was like, doesn't count. But he has been phenomenal in the wild card, the DS, and the LCS for them. So it's not part of the vote, but it kind of is, right? If you're voting, you're like, this guy has been their MVP throughout the whole postseason here from on the mound. So that was also kind of an angle I was playing there. Chris asking, what do you expect from Bo, and how do you think he impacts this series? Do you think he's actually, like, is he actually healthy, or is he coming back because it's the World Series?
But it's tricky, right? Because if he DHs, then Springer has to play the field, and you don't know how healthy Springer is. and it messes up that top of the order. But I think Nathan Lucas comes out of the 2 spot, and I think you kind of get rid of trying to put a lefty in the 2 hole and just kind of go, because I mean it's easier today. But it'd be interesting to see if David Schneider goes in the 2 hole. I don't really love what Schneider does with that 2 spot in the order, but we'll see. You'd hate to see it like him just struggle and then Schneider have to make a move to be like, it's not working.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, it's motivating for sure, and the fans are going to be on their feet when he shows up. So I think it's positive, certainly in the beginning.
Sometimes it can get awkward when you bring in a player that wasn't part of the first couple series, and
sure.
you kind of, if he strikes.
But it's Bo's been there forever. Like Bo's.
Yeah, no, he's one of your top players, so he definitely gets the pass to go in. But sometimes it can get a little awkward. I do agree with you. I think the most dangerous thing is a team that has nothing to lose, and I feel like it's also kind of flying under the radar. They have home field. Like, if the 4 of these games are in Toronto, if they are the best of 7. So if they come out and they win game 1, I feel like the Dodgers have to win game 1. You can't let them believe, right? They have nothing to lose. And if they start to believe that they can win the series, and the city of Toronto starts to believe, and the Rogers Center starts to believe, that changes the whole series in my mind. If the Dodgers come out tonight and say they jump out 4-0, you're like, oh, like, it was fun to make it to the World
exactly
Series.
Right.
Right.
3-0 after 1. You're like, oh,
yeah, it was, at least we won the American League. It's fun to be here. But if the Jays come out and score a bunch of runs and like they kind of take game 1, even if you're the Jays, though, you feel like the pressure's kind of off because you lost both games at home to the Mariners and you still won that series. So
yeah, they have a lot of paths to talk themselves into being competitive in the series.
Yeah, I totally agree. Last question for you. Someone put as a joke here in the thing, Billups is going to be hired as Ohtani's next translator. I kind of wanted to kick this around with you. So obviously Chauncey Billups yesterday, head coach, Portland Trailblazers, gets arrested by the FBI for gambling implications. I'm going to make this baseball though.
let's put it like everyone's throwing like sports betting into it. Like,
yeah.
And then coming at the sports betting community, like these were like greasy poker games too, right? Like, let's not just paint it all in the brush of sports betting.
Yeah. This existed regardless of the legalization of sports betting, so Chauncey Billups, head coach. To me, the most dangerous thing is a head coach being involved in things like this, because you can just manipulate and people don't really know. For baseball, do you think I was thinking about this yesterday. I think basketball would actually be the hardest sport to catch someone who is a coach who is filtering out information and kind of changing things and manipulating. I personally think basketball would be the hardest sport. Do you think baseball would be the easiest to catch a manager who is like kind of doing what Billups was doing? Because I feel like baseball, more than any other sport, the game happens, and then what do? You jump on sports radio and like, why did he take out Savage at this many pitches? And they break down like every decision. Do you think it'd be really hard for a baseball manager to get away with what Billups was doing?
I don't know. Aaron Boone did it with Stanton all year. You're like, why is Stanton not getting in the lineup right now? He's the best hitter in baseball. Like, that's the angle you might have to look at. That's the only one. Ban point props or point prop unders. Crowd is getting loud. That will be how that's a good way to put it, Nick. That will be how the books settle it. They're like, okay, no unders on props.
Yeah, I was thinking about that this morning. I was like, I saw someone, I don't know if it was like an FBI director or someone was saying the hardest issue here is the unders, because then they just leave the game. And I was like, oh, the sports books are going to jump to this idea of, we'll just get rid of the unders. We'll keep all the players.
Here's some one-way markets.
One-way market, and and then we can just drop all the over prices, and we don't really have to account for it on the other side because nobody's going to bet that side.
They might as well just get rid of them anyway. If you're out there betting, if you're betting the majority of your props unders, your account longevity is gone.
Yeah,
like that's your first red flag. Oh, here comes a new bettor. He's betting under props. Flag. That's it. It's pretty simple.
Did you see the one guy who was Terry Rozier when he said he was going to leave the game? His one buddy won $1,000 off the bet.
He lost 4,000 later.
4,000.
Yeah. He had a sign up bonus.
Yeah. Yeah. That was what I was laughing so hard at that. I was thinking of all the coaches. I was like, I feel like NFL, you'd get caught because your plays are running through all the coordinators, all the headsets, everyone's listening. There's like, how do you manipulate that? Basketball to me would be the easiest because you just change minutes a bit, and you change minutes for a couple players, and that changes a lot, and how your rotations, and people don't really question it that much. I feel like baseball would be extremely hard because you'd be like, why is this guy coming out? Why is this guy in the 2 hole? I feel like more than anything we question the decision. So I don't think a baseball coach could really get away with it.
You could just dial it up to lefty versus righty, like all old coaches do anyway, right?
Yeah,
just playing the matchups.
Yeah,
just playing the matchups. Okay. Yeah. Way to
all
be
right. We have Derek's lean was Blake Snell under 6.5 strikeouts minus 132. You're going Kirk over one. Was it over or under?
For who?
Kirk. It was over, wasn't it?
I got over Kirk.
Yeah,
over Kirk, under Varsho.
Yeah, I got under written on my script here. It's not under. I knew it was one under. Kirk over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. Varsho under 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. Then I'm going Blake Snell MVP. You got both teams to score one run in the first 3 innings.
Rolls off the tongue, eh?
Yeah.
Both teams to score one plus run first 3 innings.
1+ run first 3 innings. That's the longest bet in the history of time. Plus 180. Those are our bets for game 1. Where are you watching game 1, game 2? You going to any watch parties?
Yeah, I'm supposed to go to a watch party, but like I said, I got to coach football, finals. We'll see. I'm trying to get at it. Buddy's got a great shop. I went there for the Canada-US game, like 8,000 square foot farm shop that's heated, and we'll see how it goes. Now, see, what a real good man move on this is to get the wife to drive to football or drop me off, and then drop me off at my buddy's house after football with the kids in the car while I say goodbye. While I peace out the family.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. We will be back next, or we're going to do...
I'll be back in 14 minutes with hockey.
All right. We will see you in 14 minutes for the hockey show. Enjoy game 1 of the World Series. Enjoy your bets. Good luck. Good luck to both teams, Dodgers and Blue Jays. There's obviously a lot of Blue Jays fans here. Hopefully you can pull it off. We'll see you guys for the next World Series game. Enjoy your weekend.